And so I'd like to interview Robert Frimpong to the stage, Managing Director of Wintershall North Sea.
Thank you very much.
To share some operators' view with us. So, Mr. Frimpong, in terms of security, what's really important for you as an operator?
I think from the operator perspective, what's important for us is to be able to work into a stable market, into a stable framework. I think if we follow up what Nicolo said, where we are as operators coming from as responsible is what can we do from an indigenous production perspective? So operating in Denmark, operating in the Netherlands and in the UK, what can we do to actually bring more gas, more oil into the market, and that helps supports the overall framework. I think also that what is important is that within that framework is what sort of infrastructure exists, and are able to produce our gas into an open market that is competitive. And in that competitive environment, it's important that the structure, the regulatory structure that goes around that is consistent, is transparent, and it's something that is able to be read to allow us to continue our investments to support then the production of gas and oil into that.
Can you just develop a bit on that? Why is an open market economy and strong competition of importance to the security situation?
Yeah. I think as Nicolo said in part of his, and going back to what Robert said earlier as well, we've seen sort of boom-bust throughout the cycle. For us, and for I think the European context, of course we want to have a stable ability to buy and sell gas and produce gas into the society. Why it's important though is that we see that the more diverse the inputs coming into that market, the more connections that we have coming in there, the more competition you have in there, therefore the more options and optionality that there is within the market for selling gas and therefore protecting against outages and disruptions from different locations or different points of that input.
So basically, for the government, it's important to keep the market as open as possible.
I think it is, and I think also from a context of, say, looking at Denmark and Denmark being self-sufficient, part of that self-sufficiency is dependent also being able to produce and export gas into the surrounding context, which is then the European market. So it's important for Denmark's security and Denmark's sustainability aspects for self-sufficiency to have a market to which it then can supply to, and the stability of that market is also a key component of being able to say that it's a reliable partner for then Denmark.
So you represent the Dutch company, and in that sense you have an outside-in view on the Danish market. What do you expect from Denmark in that sense?
Yeah. I mean, I actually represent a company that works in Denmark, in the Netherlands, and in the UK. So we're operating across all three countries, although we're newer into the Danish environment. I think what we have found is a very receptive and very open and very encouraging environment for trying new things for development. What I expect and what we work with OGD to do also, as long as with Norgepa and with Oil and Gas UK, is to try and bring more cooperation across the borders. Being a company that's operating across three countries, we see things that can be improved. So, for example, having rig contracts, rig entry that is valid for all three countries rather than each individual country, that would be something that would be helpful. I think the general direction in terms of trying to incentivize the industry is going in the right direction. So the new strategy is a step in the right direction, but as Thor said, it's only a step in that direction. There's quite a lot more to do. We see from what Glenn presented also that there is a push from the UK side to look at maximising a recovery in the UK alongside other things, including decommissioning and the like, that we should look at the whole chain. And I think from our operator perspective, it's important that there is a framework that is supported and pushed from the government perspective that helps the industry to be part of that transition.
So when it comes to the Netherlands, would there be any tools or strategies or policies in the Netherlands that Denmark could learn from?
I think we can all learn from each other, from the UK to Denmark to the Netherlands. I think we sort of pick off ideas from each other. So the strategy in Denmark is a strong positive one. The MER in the UK is a strong positive one. In the Netherlands, we're also looking to see what we can do on the fiscal side, but also on the communication side, where we talk of something like the ladder of 7, where we place gas in the center of a set of decisions, going from energy efficiency, renewables, gas, through to oil. Whereby then coal is the last of that sort of desirable option, where we'd like, and as was shown in the presentation from Krista, that gas should then be the expanding component of energy supply to meet part of that demand curves alongside renewable options as part of the transition.
Okay, so we're moving towards a refreshment break, but I'd like to take questions from the floor on this topic. Energy security policy. Yeah.
So you get this question. It could also have been directed to Nicolas, but I'm thinking about, you talk about the open market. What's your perspective on Brexit and the disruption that could create for that market?
I'm also English, so living in Germany and in the UK, and in Germany and in the Netherlands. Yeah. Brexit creates disruption, that's clear. What the outcome will be, we don't know. I think what is clear, though, is that the UK will leave the European Union. I think it opens up an opportunity, dependent on an opportunity for countries like Denmark to up their game, up their contribution within the European context. There needs to be, the UK has traditionally been a very strong voice within the European Union for regulatory setting, especially, for example, in the last offshore directives that were put together. I hope that continues, but I think it opens up an opportunity then for countries like Denmark, like the Netherlands, to really step up to the game. There's a lot of pioneering experience and spirit within the Danish industry, and it's important that when it comes to setting up the regulatory framework for our industry going forward, that all the voices are heard, and we should try and make sure we keep the UK on board, but we should also step up our game in order to ensure we don't lose any competencies and the contributions in that respect.
Any other questions? No? Well, thank you very much, Mr. Frimpong.
Thank you.